program with Dolph for too long. I think it needs to be over in, like almost as quick as a month almost. Matt, what do you think about that? And are you fearing, as I am slightly, about Shinsuke Nakamura's position? How WWE may position him on the card?
I'm not too worried about his position, because he's only just came in to the onto SmackDown and that.
Mm-hmm.
But the kind of thing that I did feel bad about with Nakamura was that every time they get an NXT superstar that comes up like that, they're like, "Oh, look at this free agent that we've acquired." I don't like the way they describe that. And if he was such a free agent, why was there no bidding war between Raw and SmackDown? That really never makes much sense to me. They never elaborate on that. They're just like, "Oh, we have him now." And you don't get any explanation as to why. It's like a freebie, considering they had all this thing about a shake-up and whatever, and how important that would be, even though it wasn't what we thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming up to work with Ziggler, I don't mind that. It's a natural kind of first step. I'm kind of confused about everything on SmackDown at the moment, though, with the entire scene that we're getting. Randy versus Bray, who's not even on the same show anymore. And then we're getting, AJ is gunning for the US title, after being one of the best wrestlers in the world, which really doesn't make much sense. And the whole shaking hands between him and Shane McMahon, if you must. Just anything, I guess, just to tie that up and get rid of that so we don't have to see that match again. But it didn't make much sense again. So, the thing that Nakamura is going to fight Dolph Ziggler, the fact that it doesn't really make much sense is just keeping with the theme lately. But I'm just excited to see what hopefully will be a really good match between them two, and hopefully a one-off kind of thing. Maybe they'll make it at the next SmackDown pay-per-view, let Nakamura get the win so that people can think, well, I've seen how good he is in the ring now, and if you haven't seen him yet, perhaps that will generate some interest with the casual fan, and they will see his previous stuff in NXT and then know a bit more about the guy. Yeah,
absolutely. No, totally agree with you there. It's I feel like they've got to kind of restart, really restart everything, because it's just a total mess. And like Matt mentioned, this whole Bray Wyatt Randy Orton thing, what a bloody nightmare all that's turned into. I mean, talk about hard to follow. I don't know how anybody is supposed to, if you're just somebody tuning in, I don't know how you're supposed to get what the hell's going on now with that whole business. But not the greatest in some respects for some of these guys getting off the bat. But hopefully after a couple of months, it will start to start panning out where we need it to be. Matt, one of the issues we haven't really addressed, because we still haven't really got the full details on, but I think it's safe to say, Matt, that Mauro Ranallo will not be coming back to WWE. It looks like they've both come to an agreement and cut the contract or whatever. Really lots of reports coming out about JBL and the whole bullying stories have all come out now by sort of former talent. Guys like Justin Roberts have been very vocal about the whole treatment that he received. Some guys look at it as perhaps, it's just that old school mentality. But then again, Mauro's not a wrestler, so I don't know. What do you make of the whole situation, Matt? I mean, ultimately, I suppose what springs to my mind is we've lost a great announcer, one of the best, I felt, in today's current climate. But were you slightly disappointed about the whole thing, Matt? And do you think that there is more to it than meets the eye that we don't know so far?
Yeah, it's clearly not a good situation. And the fact that WWE, from their point of view, have seen that the best thing to do is come to a mutual agreement doesn't actually point to the fact that Mauro has, breached any form of his own contract, and that there are issues underlying there that is in best interest of both parties to go their own separate ways. And as incredibly disappointing as that is, you got to respect like Marrow's wishes there. If he does feels like he would be happier in another position, and then good luck to him and good luck to whatever he does in the future. But as regards to JBL, it's not really unexpected, is it, from the guy? Because he doesn't hide who he is, really.
No.
And he is a big, loud, obnoxious kind of guy. And it's not to say that that's a fact to be disliked about him, because, he's good on commentary, and he was good in the ring. I can't say I've ever met the guy personally, so I don't know what he's like, backstage and whatever, but there is that kind of old school mentality, like you mentioned, and it used to just be taken part of being in the wrestling business, that you would you'd have to pay your dues a little bit to get some respect. I don't know whether that's the way that he thinks, but he definitely came through the business around that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You know what springs to my mind is when they had the situation with Bill DeMott down at the developmental centre, and then they found all that stuff come out, and obviously WWE's massive campaigns and this anti-bullying stuff. There's no way they could have employed Bill DeMott. So Bill DeMott gets released. He's out the door. With this situation, I think. What's interesting about WWE is because they're now in the door at, say, these ESPN places, like they want to be, they want WWE to be covered by all these different stations. Well, what's happened now is because Morrow is so well known, they've all covered this, and it's not painted WWE in such a great light when you hear about his mental health issues and depression, and then you've got this guy JBL who. No, we're not saying he said it or what he's done, but what's definitely not helped is JBL kind of going out. He was on the Bring It to the Table. He made remarks on that he probably didn't need to at the time, just to sort of add fuel fire to what was already going on. So you do feel like they haven't handled this in the best way, and obviously everybody's looking in thinking, well, what are WWE internally going to do about this? Are they going to do anything? What do the anti-bullying campaigns really say to this and all the rest of it? It's a very, very weird thing. And now, of course, similar to Bill DeMott, once one person comes out, then you get a whole load of other people following. We've had a lot of people, a lot of ex-wrestlers and whatnot, and Justin Roberts himself, all come out and saying similar things, that they all had similar experiences, but WWE are not doing anything about it. Kind of makes you think, well, maybe WWE as a corporate, as a company, may have to do something, where even if they kind of don't know the ins and outs, just to kind of come out and look somewhat a credible company, I guess, with everything else that they're trying to promote, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to sort of keep a track of this. Like, when you look at the size of WWE's roster and the fact that a lot of, time is spent on the road, and it's so hard to monitor everything that goes on like that, and remarks that are made, some of it can really fall between the cracks, and it can become a degree of he said, and it's hard to actually get to the root of the problem sometimes. Sometimes you do have to just take people's words from it, and the fact that if Marrow believes that he felt like ridiculed or subjugated in any way by JBL, it could be hard to prove in many ways, unless you can get, like you said, loads of other people coming out and saying it, then that does actually start to ring some alarm bells.
Matt, do you know the latest news with Finn Balor at the moment, this whole concussion thing? Is that as serious as what reports have been? Have you heard anything your end more about that?
Yeah, I did hear that he had sustained a concussion from Jinder, and it's really bad time, isn't it? Because he spent a long time on the shelf, and I think it was like his second week back, wasn't it? And you don't really want to come off as an injury-prone kind of guy when the memories of your title run, albeit a very short one, are still quite fresh in the memory of fans, and they haven't forgotten. But those kind of things with the WWE hierarchy don't really sit too well. There are so many other people that they can look towards to actually take a spot like that in the main event that you really want to stay healthy. And I know it wasn't his fault, but hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds, and he can come back and just get back on track as soon as really.
Yeah, if he got a concussion, I suspect WWE will not have him working for a few weeks because of their whole policy now with concussions. So you can probably guarantee that, but hopefully they'll have him on TV where he can still build to something. I think that's probably important. Let's face it, if he's feuding with Bray Wyatt, that probably won't be a problem, Matt, in a lot of ways, to be honest with you. Just hearing some news, talking of injuries, just come up actually on my feed that, and this is really not, sort of bad news because these guys have just come up as well, and that's Revival's Dash Wilder reportedly injured. Not sure the severity of it or how bad it is, but over the weekend apparently sustained an injury, but it's looking like it's going to be short term, but nothing until he'll be out apparently until say somewhere around July, so it's going to be a while, and I can't imagine his partner going on sort of single crusade while he's not there. So that's a bit of a shame because they've just come up as well, made a really good impact, and then that happens over the weekend. A bit of a disaster there, really, I suppose, for those guys who I'm massive fans of, by the way. Coming in, no doubt about that. Matt, something I thought was very comical and funny that I was reading last week was the whole, of course, Braun Strowman, what he'd done to Roman Reigns. Most people, I suppose, especially the crowd, were cheering it, from what I could gauge. But turns out there was a petition, Matt, that went up. And, there was some people complaining that Braun Strowman should be fired by the WWE for his actions. And, just when I thought there's no way anymore WWE could ever be believable to the naked eye, it turns out maybe they are. They still do have something, because Braun could be the mean bad guy. What did you make of that, Matt? That sort of thing? Is that because I thought that was dead in the water, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's incredible that is still happening at this time and era that we're in now. That people can just do a bit of channel surfing, come across Braun tipping over a hospital like an ambulance, and then still dragging Roman Reigns out, beating him up, chucking him over on a gurney, and they think, well, that's a bit extreme, and the fact that they think they need to make a petition to get him fired, if he was doing that kind of stuff, it wasn't already obvious, or that Roman might press charges or some sort. That the only way to get him out would be to start a petition. No, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. So Roman definitely, look, there's people feeling sorry for him here. He's definitely got that. Matt, we had a lot of emails. I thought, rather than go through separately, the bulk of the emails, Matt, this seems like a massive, and I suppose I put myself in this category as well, but there's this massive disappointment about the Hardys and the whole broken Matt Nero gimmicks ever coming to the forefront now at WWE. It looks like we can safely say WWE are going to present them as just the Hardy Boys. I know we touched on it last week, Matt, but is it? I mean, for me, I have got to say they seem like they've lost. They've missed something big time here by not having broken Matt. For me, Jeff Hardy is Jeff Hardy. I think he's his own star, and he got to some amazing heights. He's always popular with the crowd. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not saying he has to just, but I think with Matt Hardy as broken Matt, I think he's on a different level. If he was to play, because he's very fresh. Do you think WWE have missed a big opportunity here, and that maybe they should have pursued going after the character and the rights, and just settled up something, or do you think they were right to get back, essentially is their characters in Matt and Jeff. And obviously the Hardys are the Hardys. We're not taking anything away from